am Lucas Wenzel. Welcome into our live stream, and I am joined by a long lost, I'll even go to the extent of saying childhood friend, Tyler Knaeble joins me on the show, PPR Tyler over on YouTube. Thanks for joining me today, man. We had a blast on your channel a few weeks back, and I said, I got to get you back here. So we're going to draft some Superflex teams.
Yeah, dude, super pumped. Thanks for having me. The Superflex contest is the one that I was waiting for them to drop this because last year from Underdog we had the big board, but Superflex I drafted a ton of those teams, and the way the smaller contests have feel like just the regular puppy, you had the Chihuahua, you had the Palm, just like two. Like a day it would fill. Yeah. 2 days it would fill. This isn't even a 50% fill deal, which I'm so happy about because it means I just get to draft more of it. I've already done 19 drafts of this, so I have a decent feel for what we got going on here. I have some of my exposures pulled up. We can kind of get that more into that when we start the draft. But I'm super pumped to do some Superflex, super pumped to be here. So yeah, thanks for having me.
And I'm glad you're feeling more ready for this than I am. I have done one Superflex draft since this came out, so. And it's quite literally 20 minutes ago I did one. So I'm still getting a sense of the ADP. Those of you who want to draft along with us can get a sense of the ADP as well. But this is super fun because, I mean, you and I have been drafting normal best ball for the last, I mean, we'll go all the way back to before the NFL draft with the last like 3 months. And now we finally get something again with Superflex. It just adds such a unique twist on everything, which you'll see as it unfolds here. So I'll go ahead and I'll start up the draft. If you want to join us, go ahead, join us over on Underdog. Pinned comments on YouTube or should shoot you right over to Underdog. Well, it looks like this is almost filled.
How many? We're waiting on 10. Wait on 10. But
we are waiting on 10.
This thing fills up fast, though, man. At least the ones that I've done, like they fill up fast. So we should be able to get some people in here. The thing with so I have a couple like strategy takes, like tips. I have like 3 tips for Superflex, kind of what I said on my stream, but I'll kind of repeat them here. Yep. The first one is don't like there's a lot of drafters who like just spend the first 3 picks on all quarterbacks. Yes, quarterbacks matter. It's Superflex. We know that, but you do not need to go out there and get, maybe like I think people just don't want to get caught behind, but I think you're capping some of your upside at other positions if you start, maybe you go Kyler, Burrow, and then you come back on the with your 3rd round pick and draft like, Kirk Cousins. Like you don't need to do that. And so that's my one tip. The second one is running backs matter. It's a hill I will die on in this format because if you look at the breakdown, every other contest that's single quarterback, best ball mania, the puppy, literally any other contest you draft him, it's 3 wide receivers, 2 running backs, a flex, tight end, right? This contest, it is 2 running backs and 2 receivers. So that right now, the ADP is still like, it's pretty much just like they kind of they add the quarterbacks in, but the receivers are still getting pushed up the board. You don't need to draft as many receivers in this one, or like at least spend like the capital on receiver because it does not matter as much. You're not looking to start 3. And like in most cases too, you're probably starting 4 because of the flex. So like in this case, you're at most you're only starting 3 probably. So running backs matter. Bijan, Brees, like those kind of picks in this draft are huge. And we're at the 12, which I kind of like the 12 in Superflex.
I don't mind the 12 at all.
Yeah, I don't mind it at all. And then my 3rd tip, the last one's very simple. Draft Jacoby Brissett in
yes.
16 or later, go get Jacoby Brissett because like he I don't know if it's still the case, but if you go on the quarterbacks, it was Aiden O'Connell had a higher, I think, season projection than Brissett, and it's like Brissett like might play like 8 games this year at least. Like he's gonna start. I think he's gonna start week 1. So like just getting a guy who's like gonna play quarterback in the 17th round is a steal. So those are kind of my 3 like big takeaways from what I've learned in these drafts so far.
I'm also a big proponent in like if we're playing redraft Superflex leagues, even dynasty Superflex leagues, I'm not of the opinion that you need to absolutely have like double elite quarterback in order to win some of these things. Now in a contest like Underdog, it might be a little bit different, but I think you also said like you don't need 3 quarterbacks with your first 3 picks. You just don't. If I'm going to take 3 quarterbacks, take a Jacoby Brissett, a Sam Darnold way down the board, who I actually think he starts majority of the season for the Vikings. But again, you get a starting quarterback for at least 6 weeks before the Vikings go on bye. that's an easy smash pick in one of the last rounds of these drafts. It's Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts. This is gonna be no surprise how this board falls right away. Tyler saying value, 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 fellow Vikings fan. Even though Ty, I think you have McCarthy statted out to play most of the year. But I'm of the opinion like Darnold could actually play
No, yeah, dude, Darnold I think is going to play a lot more than people expect / maybe like, because like I think like McCarthy, Memphis Young from the Dynasty Wars and had a really good kind of feel on this, where it's like Kirk Cousins was on pace to throw like 600 passing attempts last season before he got hurt. McCarthy has never thrown like more than like I think it's like 320 in any year at Michigan, which again, there's not as many games at college, but still, like he did not throw the ball a ton. So you're kind of putting him in an offense where like it's not like they have this crazy good ground game they can rely on. Yeah, Aaron Jones is good, but he's not like a pure runner where it's like you give him the ball in the backfield 20 times a game. Like this still has to be an offense that kind of operates through the air. So I just don't know if like they're gonna like, okay, JJ, like it's week 3, let's get you out there and let's let's see what you can do. Like I think they like KOC wants to win games. Like I don't know if I think it's probably an outside shot the Vikings make the playoffs this year. They could do it. I mean, they have a good roster, but yeah, okay. So like in this situation, it's like I feel like we take one of the QBs here, but we're not forced to take 2. So Murray goes. I'm honestly fine with Burrow. Yeah.
I'm fine with Burrow. Do you have any inkling on who you want to go with next? You brought up running backs matter, so we could go a Bijan. At the same time, I feel like it's really hard to pass up on a Jefferson or Amon-Ra too.
Yeah, I like Burrow and JJ. I honestly don't mind Burrow and Dak too, even though I just said you don't have to go through it. I think Dak is a fun guy where it's like I think he's just going lower because I don't know, people just don't like Dak. But he had a really good year last year. I mean, it's kind of the same offense. But I'm fine with JJ. It's pretty much JJ, Bijan, or Dak for me. So I'll let you tie. Yeah.
Let's go JJ, mostly because I've seen running backs. I don't know, maybe it was the one that I was in. I shouldn't use that as the example for the entire contest. But the way running backs are falling in this, like I can come back and grab like an Isaiah Pacheco in like the 5th, 6th round. Yeah. I'm like, how is this possible when he's going in, the 3rd, 4th round in non-super? So I just feel like I can scoop value at running back later. It doesn't have to be a Bijan. Granted, it's a big tier from Bijan to Pacheco, obviously, but unless if I'm for sure going to get one of those 3 guys, I just find it so hard to pass on Jefferson, man. He's going to get the volume, and that's all that matters to me. And people say the touchdowns aren't there. I mean, he hasn't scored double-digit touchdowns in his career yet, so it's not like that has ever been there to begin with. Mm-hmm. So I'm fine. I like the Burrow Jefferson start.
Yeah, there's a lot of people who are scared of Jefferson because Kirk is gone, but I think the way you have to look at it is like, okay, yeah, there might not be as many passing attempts. Maybe the offense isn't as good, but the way this offense works, like this system with KOC, it's like JJ's gonna get his. He's gonna get his. The volume, I think, is more it's more dependent on like Addison being good, Hawkinson being good when he comes back. JJ's going to get his. The volume is kind of more where it's like the other pieces. That's kind of where you gauge how good they're going to be given. Like if JJ's really good, like let's say JJ comes in, he's throwing 30 times a game and he's just like, he kind of has like not a Stroud type year, but maybe like a shade below that, right? He looks really good coming out of the gate where it's like, then yeah, Addison and Hawkinson are huge, smashes down the stretch. But I don't think no matter what happens, like we saw what Mullins did, what JJ did with Mullins, I should say. Like there was games where I think the last game of the season, he had 198 yards and like 13 catches and a touchdown. Like he's going to be fine.
22 fantasy points per game with Nick Mullins in the final 4 weeks last year. I mean, that's all I need to know.
Come on, exactly. So yeah, I'm there with you. I think Darnold can Darnold's, like people like to hate on him, but like this is gonna be the best situation he's ever been in his career, at least like starting the season up as a starter. He was in San Francisco last year, but didn't get much run until week 18. But yeah, so I'm in on Jefferson, kind of in the in this format, but like also in just regular best ball mania. Like I'm taking him over Jamar Chase. I'm taking him over Amon-Ra St. Brown. Like I think Tyreek Hill is kind of where I draw the line. But like if CeeDee Lamb didn't pretty much only go with the 102, I would probably take JJ over CeeDee Lamb too. Like I think my rankings, if those top 4, I think it's Hill, JJ, Lamb, Chase, and then I think Garrett Wilson is in that tier too. It's funny that you bring up the comment. I love Garrett Wilson. I'm taking him over Puka and AJ Brown every opportunity I get.
So that's fascinating. So I love Garrett Wilson this year because I do think the high target volume is absolutely going to be there. It's interesting to say over Puka, AJ Brown too. Is that more of like contest style, or is that like purely like redraft in
No,
general?
just
Season
redraft.
long
I
league
just think
too.
he's gonna have a better year, man. Like Garrett Wilson, like it's gonna be Devontae. He's Devontae Adams. He's a young Devontae Adams. Maybe not as big, but the same play
Right.
style where like he's just gonna have this rapport with Rodgers where like it's not gonna matter. Like you brought it. It's just we need the quarterback play. It's the only thing he's been missing throughout his career. His reception perception, I think, just dropped from Matt Harmon a couple days ago.
Yep.
All green. That's what we expected. Like he is a good receiver. Talent is going to win eventually, and I think he's a better receiver than AJ Brown. Just straight up, I think he's a better receiver than Puka. So I think the talent's going to win out. There's not a lot of target competition in New York. So I just feel really good about him, just like being a red zone threat too, or like kind of that Devontae where it's like if it's in the red zone, like he's gonna kill you with the route running. So I'm a huge Garrett Wilson guy. Now looking forward to this next pick. I was thinking Herbert.
I know. I was really hoping Herbert would slide there.
I don't mind Kirk. Who we get? We got Burrow, right? We have Burrow.
We have Burrow.
So I don't mind. I think Kirk is a fun of like he's just gonna pass the ball a ton. So I don't mind Kirk here if you are in on Kirk.
It's going to be such a long wait for another quarterback where I feel like we have to reach down and grab Kirk if we're going to go 2 right away. Give ourselves more flexibility in the later rounds. Again, we'll bring up the running back versus wide receiver debate here. Would you rather go Devon Achane or a Chris Olave, Devontae Adams, Jalen Waddle kind of player?
It's so funny because this is like we're like in like that round 2-3 turn and like regular drafts where it's like who do you like? It's just who do you like? Because it's just you can make a case for anybody. But I've been an Olave guy. Usually Olave or Devontae is kind of the click I like to make here. I don't like Achane as much. I'm semi down on him. I'll get him on like Miami builds, but I'm not usually going to draft him outright. I would lean Olave or Devontae, whichever one you like more.
I like Olave more personally. We've just finished statting out all of our players for the entire season over in our draft guide. I think you can find that down in the description. I think I linked that there. I have Olave as my wide receiver 11 or wide receiver 10 this year. So I'm really in on Olave. I am. Yeah. And part of it is, I mean, I look at all the guys in that range. Though, I'm not excited. I'm not excited for any of them between 11 to 15. Thad Brown's Olave. There you go, man. There you go, man.
That's always in my chat. And all he does is he just scream. He only says all caps things. He never types undercase. It's only all caps. We love that. Hashtag get your guys. That's his calling card.
I love it. He's in our streams as well. And Tyler and I went live. Gosh, was that last week, Ty? You and I went live?
A couple weeks ago.
Whenever. Sorry, I'm. I don't want to say my Tyler, but Tyler.
Oh no, yeah, I got you. Yeah. Sorry, see, I'm always. Yeah.
I'm talking to a Tyler. We got another Tyler here. He had to get your guys, and I think we got sniped like 4 times in that draft, and he kept screaming, "Get your guys, get your guys!" Yeah, going back to Olave though, I would rather gamble on Clint Kubiak improving this offense than saying Chris Olave is going to bust and taking a chance on an aging Devontae, on a Nico Collins in a Houston Texans offense that also has Stephon Diggs and Tank Dell, than a Deebo Samuel who could get injured on any given week, than a Brandon Ayuk who was hyper efficient last year. Like, if we're talking about all those guys in that range, Devon Achane who couldn't stay healthy to save his life, part of me is like Olave is the safest one, and I think he might have the most upside. So I always typically tend to lean Olave just for those reasons. What's your specific reason for liking Olave over that bunch?
I just feel like he has the easiest path to just if he hits and the offense is really good, he just has that ceiling where I just feel like Nico doesn't have the same ceiling as Olave because he's with all those other guys. Deebo is in an offense that a lot of guys are getting fed. It's not going to be like that one season where McCaffrey wasn't there and he had 10 rushing. I don't think it was 10, but a lot of rushing production there too. Diggs, the same thing I said with Nico. Mike Evans, feels like in this point of his career, he's not going to bust. So Chris Olave could, like you said, you had him as your wide receiver 10. He could just be if he finishes a top 8 wide receiver, would anybody be shocked? I don't think so. I just think he has that ceiling that I think Devontae kind of has it a little bit, but it just the situation that he's in, he's the only guy there, literally the only guy there. Shaheed's a good player, but he's more of a deep threat. He's not going to take away a ton of targets. If who's taking away targets on this team? That's the thing. No one is taking away targets.
Alvin Kamara, but he's a running back. So
Exactly.
nobody in the wide receiver room, the tight end room, is taking targets from this guy. So I agree. I think Olave can be a 150 target guy. I think I have him at 146 targets this year, just shy of 150. But I don't like Derek Carr more than the next guy. I'm not a Derek Carr fan, but that doesn't mean he can't be good. I mean, again, we'll go back to the Garrett Wilson example, right? Just because it's a bad quarterback doesn't mean the volume won't be there. And I think that's what exactly it will be for Chris Olave this year. So I'm going to go back to a little bit more strategy now. Considering we have Burrow, considering we have Kirk, how much do you value stacking still in a contest like the Superflex, where there's a lot more freedom to stack players, but at the same time, it creates double the opportunity for people to try and create different week 17 stacks, week 16 stacks, whichever you want to target. So what's your policy around stacking in a competition like this?
Yeah, definitely have to stack, especially in this one. If you look at the prize breakdown for this contest, it's not like Best Ball Mania where it's a pretty flat payout structure where like if you make the finals, you get your money back in terms of if you did max entry it. But it's like all the money's pretty much at the top of this contest, like contests in years past. The stacking part of it though, it's interesting because in single QB, you're not supposed to stack your quarterbacks in a single QB contest for week 17. Let's talk this pick and I'll get back into it. Yeah, I think Higgins is a must here. Yep. Just in terms of like we didn't get Chase, and yeah, we could do something skinny with like Burton or Gesicki, but I just like getting Higgins. I think he's gonna have a good year. I do like Pacheco, who you have startup. I don't think we need to take quarterback here. I'm fine with Higgins and Pacheco here.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Pacheco. I got Pacheco as my running back 8 this year, and frankly, if we're gonna prioritize running back, like if we can get, I'm gonna scroll down a little bit here. Like if we can get an Alvin Kamara to come all the way back to us, dude, I am still so in on Alvin Kamara. And if we get an Olave, you can bring up a Derek Carr later if he manages to swindle his way back to us at some point in the draft. I mean, that's a great New Orleans stack we got there with a little bit of a Cincinnati stack as well. I mean, we've got options, right? We have plenty of options. So go back to stacking though, because you're talking about the breakdown. You're talking about how it's still necessary, but it's like double the opportunity to stack when you're playing Superflex.
Yeah, so if you're week 17 matters in this format because, like I said, all the money is at the top. It's just you're not gonna make a play. I think if you make the finals, it's like $300, which off a $5 investment. I mean, that's a pretty good rate of return. But if you're looking to win the contest, which like everyone who plays these contests is probably trying to win, you have to be week 17. You have to be week 17ing, I guess, game stacking. And the funny thing with the quarterbacks is in single QB, not supposed to stack. You're not supposed to have 2 week 17, quarterbacks in your quarterback room. It's kind of a no-no. Like you're not supposed to do it. In this format, though, completely different story. Because if you get in a game where it's, let's say we got we got Burrow, right? Let's say we go and draft Bo Nix, right? If that game in week 17 is 35-34, like the quarterbacks probably play pretty well in that game, and we're gonna have both of them on our team. So in this format, it's a lot more viable. I wouldn't say it's an absolute must, but it is something that you should use a decent sized tiebreaker because the upside that could be accessed in those potential weeks by week 17 game stacking your QBs is something that you should definitely be paying attention to.
Yeah, I'm sure it's impossible to pull off, but to try and get that Detroit San Francisco week 17 stack with Purdy, Goff, if you get an Amon-Ra, Brandon Ayuk, I almost had a McCaffrey Amon-Ra Ayuk start in my first draft. I ended up settling for McCaffrey. Right. It's like, okay, McCaffrey drops that far in the first round, I'll take it. But yeah, I think that's the thing I'm curious to try and figure out in this kind of format is I'm going to do a ton of drafts at the end of the week here to try and get more familiarized with this is what does game stacking look like in this format? Because I feel like we're just starting to get used to it. In things, the Eliminator, in it's, again, a little bit different of a strategy, but in Best Ball Mania, in the Puppy, in the Hound Dog, the Pomeranian, all these contests that require these week 17 stacks. We're just getting familiar with it to now be like, okay, the strategy changes in Superflex where it becomes like double the opportunity to try and double down on a week 17, week 16 stack.
Yeah.
Rachaad White, Kittle off the board. Who are we? We'll get to a few more comments. Kincaid. I wouldn't have mind Kincaid there. The problem is I just think when running backs do matter in this format, I just think it was too good of an opportunity to pass on Pacheco again in the 6th round. Like to me, that is a steal on Pacheco. in this format where I think he can be, a top 10 running back this year. I have him ranked as my running back 8.
Yeah, I think too. I think when you think about tight ends too, like you think about where all the like tight ends, I mean, they don't score as many points as like all the other position groups combined. Like it's a very significant drop off between like the amount of points you're going to get from your running back room, the amount of points you're going to get from your tight end room. Like the tight end room's always kind of been a little lower, and I love the elite tight end strategy, in these single quarterback contests. But when you add that second quarterback element to it, I just don't think the tight end matters as much in this contest because a majority of your points are going to be coming like I would be willing to wager probably like 85% of your points are coming from QB, running back, receiver. And like maybe like 10 to 15% you'll get from your tight end. Depends on obviously what your room looks like. But in a contest with 20 roster spots, not the 18, I mean, I think that's another thing where like I think you should be going 3 tight ends in almost every draft. Even if you start Sam Laporta or Travis Kelce, like maybe if you go double elite tight end, then maybe you only go 2 if you feel fine with that. But I'm usually going 3 in like every single form in every single draft I'm doing.
So what do you think here? I talked about Alvin Kamara, Derek Carr. I don't mind that. You also brought up Bo Nix with a Joe Burrow Week 17 stack. You could also wait on Bo Nix for a little bit. I'm a big fan of Kamara here personally, just to snag our second running back. Are you good with that? What do you think about that?
Yeah, let's go Kamara. Yeah. And then the next pick is so am I, dude. Next pick here is interesting where it's like we could go Carr. Or a Carr or Ingram is kind of what I'm thinking here. Get a tight end. I said elite tight end doesn't matter as much. I kind of like the Carr thing only because we do kind of a little Atlanta thing. So a division stack is always kind of fun to build out. But if we have Olave and we have Kamara, we might as well just go Carr. And then now I can say we're pretty much done at QB unless Jacoby Brissett or Sam Darnold fall like round 18, which does happen sometimes. So I'm fine with the 3 quarterbacks.
Jefferson too. Yep.
Yeah, it's like this is like the third. Like, what's the big difference between like? Can you open up the board real quick? Because I saw somebody go 3. So somebody went, Lawrence there with their third quarterback, the drafter in the
1, 2, 3. Yep,
the 6th slot. So it's like
crybaby spankers.
I would much rather have Carr where we got him than Trevor Lawrence. And Trevor Lawrence is a better quarterback, probably put up more fancy points, but is it worth the price that you're paying on him? Like the Tua, like what's the difference between like Trevor and then you get Stafford later or something like that, where it's just like there's a very even like Baker, like it's a very flat tier after you get past like honestly like Jaden Daniels for me, like the difference between Caleb and Kirk is not that big. I think Kirk could outscore Caleb. The difference between Caleb and like a lot those other good quarterbacks, so it's very flat tier for me. I try and avoid that tier. I either want to go like elite or get like those like lower range guys. I think Bryce Young's my most drafted quarterback right now in this contest. Joe, it's actually funny. Joe Burrow is also my most drafted quarterback. So my most drafted quarterbacks right now are Bryce Young at 31%, Burrow, Cousins, and Carr. We actually have Burrow, Cousins, and Carr on this team. So
you must have been drafting at the turn quite a bit.
I actually have been drafting at the turn quite a bit. I love Richardson in this contest. I think he is the clear QB5 for me over Stroud because he can be the QB1. So yeah, that's kind of some of my quarterback breakdowns. My most drafted player overall is Xavier Legette. Still, he's my most drafted player in a lot of my other formats. So
I was going to say I almost debated downloading that clip just so you could have had the opportunity to talk about Legette while you can. I mean, he'll probably still be available later, but I mean, again, Bryce Young in the 7th, who I think could have a bounce back here. I'm totally with you on the 3 quarterback. I'm going to go back to it because you look at like the core of this team then is Josh Jacobs, Jaden Green, Aaron Jones. Yeah,
you have one receiver.
You're asking me would I rather have the core of Jefferson, Olave, Higgins, Pacheco, Kamara, or 3 quarterbacks when I can only play 2, and then I guess I left out Debo, Devonta, Josh Jacobs. I guess my answer doesn't necessarily change there though either, right? Like if I can only start 2 quarterbacks, why would I waste another early pick to use on an elite asset on another quarterback that's going to sit on my bench? That your one quarterback while your other ones are on bye they're going to be sitting on the bench the rest of the year. It doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah,
I don't know how that's a smart strategy.
Yeah, Derek Carr in the 8th is perfectly fine because it's just I like Derek Carr where like I think he had like a lot, like I think he had like I looked it up. I think it was like 6 or 8 300-yard games last year. Like he like sneaky had like some good weeks. I know he had a really good week in week, I think it was 16 whatever day they played the Rams on Thursday Night Football. He had a great week for that. He was one of the guys that kind of got people to the next round in like all the playoff formats. But I think Derek Carr's like I love the guys who are like just so undervalued, but like they're still like I know Derek Carr is going to play 17 games if he's healthy. That's what I like about like that's I cannot say the same about Daniel Jones. I can't say the same about Drake May or McCarthy. Like that's why I like Bo Nix so much. Like this is a contest where I think Bo Nix is totally viable because it's like if he is just like even kind of good, he's probably going to play all 18 games, and like that's something that you want. You just want to find quarterbacks who are going to be playing in week 17. That's a little bit harder in with the further you go down the board. Like I can't say that about Daniel Jones. I can't say that about Drake May. I can't say that about McCarthy. Fields, you like to think he might, but you don't know. But like Bo Nix, like we're not going to draft here. Like maybe we should have waited, but I think the New Orleans thing we had to take Carr there. But like that's why I like going Bo Nix so much is because he's probably going to be the starter for the entire year, probably, unless he's just the worst quarterback on the face of the planet.
I mean, who are they going to put in after him though? Right? Like it's not like he's that. It's not like whoever's behind him is that big of a threat to him either. At the same time, I think Bo Nix is going to have a pretty long leash this year, whether Denver wants to or not. You hate Christian Watson.
I was going to say though, I'm kind of coming back in on Christian Watson a little bit, especially
That's what I'm talking about
in this format where it's like you're only starting 2 receivers, kind of 3 if you factor in the flex. But like I like him on this team because he is a deep threat, and if you're only starting 2. Then like if you just get like one of those boom weeks from Watson, which he's known for, then like I mean our other receivers should be fine filtering in the other week. So like in this contest, I think deep threats kind of get a little bit of an uptick for me because you don't have to worry so much about floor when it's only 2 receivers that you're starting at the minimum each week.
Well, let's take him here because I think that pairs up well with a Jefferson week 17 if we want to come back and snag a Darnold later if we can.
Who are the tight ends kind of over here?
Njoku and Bowers. I mean, you can get a little bit of Bowers, New Orleans if you want.
I do like 17. Bowers. I think he has a good year. But what are the running backs here too?
You got Warren. You've got Zach Moss with Cincy if we want that.
I'll let you choose. You choose.
I can't stop drafting Jaylen Warren. I'm obsessed.
Let's do it. Can I hear the Warren bullish take? Because I know there's a lot of guys in the community who are huge on Warren. So like, what's your kind of read on that situation in Pittsburgh?
So I will say Justin Herzig put out a post on Twitter asking, if you're drafting this year in best ball formats with how ambiguous Arthur Smith likes to leave his backfields for better or worse. Well, in Atlanta, how we like to leave that backfield, as you know, as a Falcons fan, unfortunately. How would I draft a Najee Jaylen Warren in a contest like Best Ball Mania? And the answer for me was 60-40 Warren. Like I'll probably draft Warren 60% of the time and Najee 40% of the time. But the more I'm thinking about it, and after I went through and I statted out these guys for the season, the receptions just matter so much to me for Jaylen Warren. And we're looking at where they finished last year. Like Warren finished as the running back 23 and Najee was the running back 25. And so Najee can get all the touches in the world. That's fine. But I think Jaylen Warren is one, just the far more efficient back. 2, he's going to, I think, be far more active in the receiving game. And this just like to me reeks of 2022 Dallas, Zeke and Tony Pollard, where I don't think Jaylen Warren is top 10 Tony Pollard performance, but like I was shocked when I saw Warren came back. I got my rankings right here as my running back 18, excuse me. And then Najee Harris like came in at my running back 29. So I have these guys actually pretty far apart. And for me, it's mostly the efficiency in an Arthur Smith run first offense and the receiving upside that Jaylen Warren has that puts him over the top for me. I think Najee can do all of that. The problem is we've seen Najee's targets increase literally every single year. I think he only saw 35 targets last year, which was not encouraging. And Jaylen Warren doubled him with, I believe he had 71 targets last year. Mm-hmm. So that's mostly what it comes down to for me. And you put him in an Arthur Smith offense, and I definitely have optimism there. That's my bullish opinion on Jaylen Warren. But again, I also don't want to be on the wrong side of that in a multi-entry large contest like Best Ball Mania, like Puppy Superflex here. I'm going to have my Najee exposure, but man, if he's off the board before Jaylen Warren, I have zero problem just scooping up Jaylen Warren too.
Yeah, I feel like I've been more of a Najee drafter than Jalen Warren, only because in a contest like this, and just redraft in fantasy overall, touchdowns are like the biggest thing. I just feel like
Yeah.
Najee
Yeah.
could fall, like, because Arthur, you mentioned it, the way he's like kind of uses his running back room, it's very like I kind of describe it like caveman-y, where he just like sees like,
Yeah.
oh, Najee big back, I use him goal line. Jalen Warren smaller back, I throw him ball. Like that's kind of just how he sees like how he uses his running backs, how he used Bijan and Algier, because Algier, big back, we use him to like run the ball. Like Bijan, we pass him ball. Like that's kind of how he sees it. And I kind of feel like just Najee just could fall in the end zone a couple more times, on the goal line. I don't think Warren's going to get a lot
No.
of those targets. I think, anything can happen with Arthur. I think Darnell Washington could get a couple goal line carries.
Right.
Johnny Smith was getting some. So I'll be curious to see how that all plays out. I feel like Najee's more of a safe option. Warren's definitely, I feel like Warren has higher upside. I just been drafting Najee, as my like RB1 or RB2. I think I could find upside running backs later in the draft, but I definitely take Warren. I'm not out on Warren. I just feel like I find myself clicking Najee a little more because they do go pretty close in ADP. It's only a couple picks difference, but I definitely respect the Warren take. I know there's a lot of people out there that just absolutely love Jalen Warren. So it's a guy I've tried to get a little bit more of as we've progressed throughout the summer.
I'm going to end up cooling down on Warren, at least in this format, because I do need to up my Najee exposure. I think I'm like hyper Jalen Warren. I think he's actually one of my top 3 highest exposure players in draft. So I need to cool off on him. But
yeah,
I mean, it's kind of like the Jalen Warren fever, right? And once I recover from that a little bit, I'll cool back down and pivot to Najee. So let's talk about this pick before we're on the clock here, because we're thinking, I mean, we still need a tight end, but I don't know. I'm not too excited to reach down and prioritize a Dalton Schultz here, or go down even further and prioritize a Hawkinson. So as far as I'm concerned, I'm thinking like double wide receiver at this point.
Yeah, I like that too. I don't mind B-Rob. I think B-Rob is actually really fun.
Sure.
He's like one of my favorite running backs to draft in this range. I wouldn't go Shaheed only because we have too many Saints. So I don't think we're kind of maxed out on Saints. We don't need Shaheed on this team. It's like Lockett's like Lockett falls to this pick every single time. I've been at, like I've kind of been at the turn on this side of the turn. He's just always there. I don't mind him. Looking for week 17. I would go B-Rob here for sure, because like I said, if running backs do matter. So I would go B-Rob just personally. And then other than that, I'm just trying to think out some week 17. Jets play the Bills. So we don't have any Bills. Lockett, they play Chicago. We don't have any Chicago. Okay, go scroll down a little bit more.
Week 16 with Minnesota.
Oh, with Lockett?
Yeah, we do get a week 16.
I don't mind that. Yeah.
We got Jacoby there as well if we want to go week 17.
I don't mind Jacoby. Let's just go Lockett, man. If you like Lockett, that is.
I do like Lockett. I think it's going to be a battle between him and JSN this year of who's actually the true wide receiver too, right? Like, I think
the passing volume is going to be there regardless.
Oh, it will, 100%. I'm relatively in on both. I love Lockett at ADP. I think I have JSN. Where do I have? I have Lockett at 37. I have JSN. Not too far behind him. I think I'm going to end up switching that, but like they're both 43 and 37. I have them at. So I just have Lockett I have 43. No, sorry, in my ranking. Sorry, wide receiver 37.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, that's some high exposures. So I was like,
no.
What do your exposures look like? Because it's always interesting to kind of like different drafters have different kind of exposures. Like, what's like your highest exposured player? Like for the 2024 season, not just like this contest, but like the entire 2024 season as a whole. Like when you go on there, what are your highest exposure? If you can pull it up fast.
Yeah. So what I'm going to do is I've done more drafts. It's funny. We have 2 accounts. We have a Fantasy Football Fellows account, and we have I have my own personal account too. And I've been doing far more drafts on my personal account.
That's
so
fair.
let me pull up my exposures here. This is fascinating I'm ashamed that I have Ramondre Stevenson in my top 3 exposures. I don't think I'm going to draft any more Ramondre this year.
I'm just curious about like the actual percentage of it.
Yeah. So sorry. What you asked me what percentages. So like, who are my highest percentages? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah. Just like if you go like on, you have like the quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end. Like like my highest percentage of a player drafted is 28.9%. But like some people, like, I don't know if you know who hit him with the gritty is. He's kind of he's
Chase Claypool's insane. Is he 80 plus on Chase Claypool?
It's not even the Claypool. The Claypool thing is crazy, but actually,
He's
been semi right because he had like over. I think he actually had the most Chase Claypool in BBM last year. I think it was over 90% Claypool, and he's been in on since the big board. So he has a ton of big Claypool in the big board. And he's actually getting some hype out of camp. But my point is like there's some drafters who like just naturally will have like 40% of a player or like kind of in that range. Mine is usually around like that 30. Where like right now Noah Fant is 28.9% for me. So. I'm always just curious to kind of like see how others play the game. I've always liked to kind of be more aggressive, at least on one player where it's like, I think I want to get up to like 35, even 40% on Noah Fant, just one player, but like hit him with the gritty. He's a different animal. He's got like a bunch of 70 pluses, 60 pluses, 50 pluses. Like he has first round guys in the 20s. Like that's like low for him. So it's always just funny to see people's exposures and whatnot.
So Kamara's at 31 for me. He is my highest one. He's at 31. I've got Waddle at 26. I've got Christian Watson at right around 26. T. Higgins at 26. So, I like to keep it somewhat diversified, but again, that's only showing like the 20 teams I've drafted so far this year too, and not including what we've drafted here. What are you thinking at this spot now? How much do you like a Freiermuth or Komet to finally take a tight end?
I like Patty F a little bit more, especially with the Pittsburgh correlation we got. Might as well go Patty. I like Patty F over Komet only because it's just a little less target competition. In Chicago, you got Swiss out of the backfield, then you have the three-headed monster at receiver. Really hoping one of these players or drafters don't take Freiermuth. I guess we gotta go tight end eventually. I don't mind Freiermuth here though. Other guys I like, obviously Leggett. I love someone like the running backs, I love Lloyd. I love Miller. Yes. I love this range of guys. Like I love a lot of these dudes. So. We'll kind of see who's here.
Yeah, I would be really tempted to take a Marshawn Lloyd here, I think.
Yeah, no Miller only because we have Kamara.
Oh, yeah. No, you're 100% right. I agree with that. So no Miller because of Kamara. I'm just like...
This drafter takes Pat Freiermuth. I'm going to be pissed. Oh, my God. Come on. Okay.
It's got to happen at some point during our stream.
Just go Komet, man. I mean, we got to take a tight end.
We do. I know.
We have a Seattle. At least we go out of Seattle week 17.
This is why we do it. Oh, I hate it though. I'm really not a fan of Komet this year. There's a lot of mouths there.
Yeah, we can get the tight end 5 in fantasy for 2024 and Noah Fant a little later.
We'll do that later, right?
Here I'm leaning like Leggett. or Leggett or Dotson. I like both those guys. Dotson would actually be a little bit better for week 17 if we were thinking about that.
Yeah, we're going Kirk. Yeah, that's the smarter choice. And I can't quit Jahan Dotson, man. I just can't. We talked about, I think we talked about on your stream, like tight ends, guys that were like continuously just like, I will just on a that. I never commit. Never commit. Yeah,
never commit.
It should have always been the mute. You're 100% right. It always should have been. Eddie Gorgo can get lost. Pound sand.
Maybe we should have gone Mooney there actually on second thought.
I thought about it.
Yeah, only because
I thought about it.
It's fine. You don't need to stack up everyone. I mean, we said stacking's good. Yes, you can still. We can get a little, Algier a little later on. We can get some. I know you're a huge Rondale Moore guy. So.
Oh, where is hold on? I do got a drop for that. Believe it or not.
Want a Rondale?
That was I was super in on Rondale last year.
Oh, were you?
I was. I'm like, you want to take a late round flyer on a guy, you take a pick on Rondale Moore. And of course,
he had a long touchdown, I think, like the opening drive against Houston. Didn't he have like a 40-yard bomb?
Oh yeah. Yeah, it was like he always has one of those games every year where it's like, holy crap, wait, Rondale could actually be something this year. And then you just recognize he gets peppered on, with like 6-7 targets a game, but it's all like dots of like 2 yards. So it really doesn't.
His rookie year, it was his best year of his career so far. It was his rookie year.
I know, right? So that's why I'm like, it can only go up from here, right? And I've just been wrong, which is why he's in Atlanta as the wide receiver.
The Falcons fleeced Arizona trading Ritter for Rondale straight up. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah, they really did. Round 12 flyer Rondale Moore. I can't quit Rondale Moore either, Ty. It's him and Dotson. No, I'm just so in love with Dotson's profile and him as an NFL player, though. Like that's someone who, if I believe in your talent, I can kind of get past your situation. And I think, I mean, Dotson came out. I think it was Dotson came out with the interview today, and he's like, well, so what's Cliff Kingsbury's offense like? It's like, I don't know. If I were to describe it, I just think of it as like a no huddle offense. So I think this offense is going to be. What was that?
It was B-Rob.
That was B-Rob. That was B-Rob. You're right. But still, like that's at least encouraging that I think there's going to be a lot of plays here. There could be a lot of targets, Dotson's way because of that. And I just believe in Dotson, the talent. I'm not going to quit him just because, he disappointed last year with Sam Howell as his quarterback. I don't think Sam Howell is a standard for excellence. We have a Heisman winner coming in. I'd like to think that's an upgrade for him.
Definitely. 100%. I think Howell's career is going to play out a lot like, Fitzpatrick or Minshew. Just guys who, like their names, they're never going to win you anything, but like they can win you like, they can just have like a stretch where they have like, a month where it's like, 350-yard passing games in a row.
Right.
But like then they'll throw like 8 interceptions over the next 4 games.
Right. right. If he somehow comes back from the grave for like 5 games, I would not be surprised whatsoever.
That's kind of why I like drafting a little Seattle too, because like at least if Gino goes down, you have like Sam Hauser to come in and sling it.
Right. You can count on that for sure. All right, so we got like 5 rounds left. At this point, we're doing a lot of rounding out of teams. I gotta look at the board here. Yeah, it feels like we're getting into a lot of player take guys, or if you're wrapping up stacks from earlier.
Yep.
I'd
love to get Ty Chandler on this team.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind a nice little Ty Chandler. I don't think he's going to make it back. Jaleel McLaughlin would have been a nice one to have. I would have loved him on this team too, but he was never going to make it back. What's his ADP? Did he go ahead of ADP?
Who? Oh, with Jaleel
McLaughlin. No,
yeah.
he was about right at ADP.
Yeah,
I was curious. He's another guy I'm going to have insanely high exposure to.
What do you think about Vidal?
In this range, I'm not opposed to it. I like Gus. Speaking of Jacoby, there goes Jacoby.
Yeah, this is the Jacoby range, baby. I'm telling you, he's a steal at this. You could give him around 17. I'm telling you, like he's a value.
But Kamani Vidal. Yeah, like
he goes there.
All you got to do is bring up the name, and he's gonna get drafted. I'm not opposed to Vidal. Gus Edwards isn't someone who excites me, and I just refuse to believe he's going to get bell cow work or like heavy lead back work. I thought we were going to get a slide on Chandler there.
Yeah,
I'll come back to Vidal.
I feel like Gibson's like the last kind of tier for me, where like at least he's probably going to catch a ton of passes. Just where it's like I like Gibson here, and then after that, I feel like we just go tight end. Fant goes right under this. I memorize his ADP. Little under.
He really does. Yeah.
I would go Fant here personally. Dude, I'm telling you, man. I think this is the year. I think this is the year for Noah Fant. Like, I think he could finish as like a top. I'm gonna go bullish. Like, I think he can be like a top 12 guy. I truly do. I think the volume. I think the volume is gonna be there in the offense. And if like one of these guys gets hurt, Lockett, JSN, or Metcalf, he's gonna be the third guy there. It's not like Charbonnet is like an actual, like a legit pass catcher. He can catch passes, but he's not a pass catcher. Same thing with Kenneth Walker, even less more than Charbonnet. Like it's just kind of, I'm just gonna do the fan spiel real quick.
Do it. I'm here for it. I'll sit back and listen. I'll kick my feet
They
up.
re-sign him $10.5 million a year. They re-sign him for $10.5 a year, $21 million overall. The new regime does, not the old regime. The new regime comes in. First thing they do, sign Noah Fant $10.5 a year. Kyle Pitts makes $10 million a year. Noah Fant got 10.5 for a guy who's been pretty much a bust, like more or less in the first round. Like his entire career hasn't really like put it all together, and he's stuck in this bullshit ass. Sorry, can I swear? That's my bad.
It's totally fine. Family friendly.
Family friendly. Stuck in this BS freaking offense that Pete Carroll wants to run. Like, we're going to run the ball. We're going to use 8 tight ends. Like, Colby Parkinson, you're the guy. Like, it's now Parkinson's gone. Disley's gone. Noah Fant's the only guy there. They draft a guy out of the guy from Michigan. I forget. Or no, not Michigan. Who am I thinking of? I forget, whatever. It's not
I'm
Eric Hall. Eric Hall went to, it's the guy from Michigan, not Loveland, but the other dude. I forget his name. Not important. He's not going to do anything.
AJ Barner out of Michigan.
AJ Barner, that's who it is. He's the only guy there. He's the only one that's going to catch bats. He still has this elite prospect profile. He's still a hyper athlete. He was better than like TJ Hockenson in college. Again, I don't want to go as far back to college because that's just whatever, but it's the passing volume that excites me. Ryan Grubb out of Washington, they pass the ball a ton. He's the OC play caller for the Seahawks. Not only do they pass the ball a ton, they pass the ball at a high efficiency while passing the ball a ton. It's like a 3-point shooter in basketball who, he shoots 8 threes a game and he makes 45%. It's a lot more impressive than a guy who shoots 2 threes a game and makes 45%. It's the volume and the efficiency that we saw last year in Washington. So I just don't see how Noah Fant doesn't have at least I will bet my life savings that he at least pays off his ADP. He is going to be a smash pick. I've never felt so strongly about something in fantasy that I have about Noah Fant. If he goes out there and he freaking gets hurt week 1, then I'll be dead. So
you just look at the other guys too. Like look at a Luke Musgrave, a Jatavion Sanders, a Cade Otton, right? All these other tight ends going in this range. None of them have the draft capital, the prospect profile that Noah Fant did. And maybe the reason why I've cooled off on Noah Fant in previous years is because I got burned by him. I was all in on him his sophomore year in the league, right? It's like, all right, year 1 tight ends, they always seem to disappoint. Year 2 in the league, they always step it up. And then it just never happened for Fant. So I'm a believer. Again, I'm learning, just bet on the talent. And I think the situation only got better this offseason in Seattle. So yeah, no, I mean, at tight end 23, he's being drafted at. Again, maybe he still would have been here with Conklin and likely still available, but that's not something I would have been willing to take a chance on. I don't think.
Like, what if he has that Eric Ebron types arc where it's like terrible his first couple of years in the league, and then he goes to the Colts and he catches 12 touchdowns. Again, there's a little bit less target competition on that Colts team, but we could see it. Okay, let's talk this pick. Tight end wise, I mean, we need one more. I like a lot of the guys in this range. Is there a guy you have a lean on personally? There's one that I have. I like Jonnu personally.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
you want to go Gesicki? We could
go Gesicki as well. I'm up whatever you want to do.
Let's do Gesicki for another Bengal. So I think we only have him and T. Higgins and Burrow as of right now. So I'll go ahead. We can take Gesicki there.
Outside of that,
only
I'm not in on Tyrone. I would say receiver wise, I like DeMario.
DeMario's just he's the most likely to return on ADP. There's one of these Patriots is going to pay off at ADP in a big way.
He costs the least.
And he costs unless you really want to talk about Kendrick Bourne or KJ Osborne. But
Osborne. I've drafted a couple of shares of Osborne.
I've drafted a couple of shares of Osborne. I have definitely drafted a couple shares of KJ Bourne.
Any Tyquan Thornton any Tyquan Thornton into those exposures yet?
No, not quite. Not quite. I'm not quite that ballsy. Maybe if I go hyper Drake May stack, I get super high on the Patriots one night and decide Drake May is the way, the truth, and the life. Maybe I do that, but I don't think I ever will. Now, Pop is one of those guys where he's just the automatic safety blanket for whether it's Jacoby, whether it's Drake May, and whether or not, Jalen Polk, excuse me, pays off at ADP. I'm my mind is going 1,000 different directions with this Patriots wide receiver room. It's 6 guys you all have to remember the names of and their upside that they potentially have. They all go in this range too, Javon Baker went at the start of the 17th. I digress. Pop is the one where he's the safety blanket. I think he gets the most volume out of that bunch. I think Jalen Polk is definitely the most talented, but we're looking at rookie wide receivers. I'm not expecting him to get off to a quick start. I think Pop Douglas is still probably the guy there. He's the safety blanket, probably draws the most volume.
Mm-hmm. Also, too,
he'll pay off 81. That's for sure. I'm 100%. Really confident in that as we get a Claypool recommendation in the chat.
When I take players, some of them, I just like to tell myself a story where it's I like making comparisons. So when I think of DeMario, did you see the quote yesterday? Drake May came out and said DeMario Douglas could make a guy miss in a phone booth, which is he's talking about the guy. Also, 2, the best year we've ever seen from Drake May at UNC was when he had Josh Downs in the
Yeah.
slot. Like Devontae Walker was still there. No one cared about Devontae Walker until Downs left.
Right.
I just feel like there's a lot of similarities between Douglas and Downs, like slot guys, really good, just kind of undersized, uber athletic. I think Downs has that vertical threat. I think Pop Douglas has it too. We just didn't see as much last year. So I think I don't know. I think Pop Douglas could kind of come out and like kind of play a Josh Downs type role that maybe we saw at UNC. Again, that's very, very speculative type of thinking there, but I don't know. It's just something I like a story I like to tell myself. And I think like Douglas was good in some spots last year. Where, like he was kind of a fun receiver to have. That's just like a PPR machine. I think in that London game, he was like, I think he had like 6 or like 8 catches or something like that. But I like Pop Douglas a little bit. And I always kind of like, just drafting the guy. Like we don't know who's gonna be the leading receiver. Let's take the one that has the lowest ADP cost. Usually a good strategy.
Usually a good strat. And let's say, God forbid, all of our wide receivers except for Justin Jefferson have like 2-point weeks. Like Pop Douglas is one of those guys where it's like, all right, throw in 8 points. Fine. Whatever. Yeah. I'll take my free 8 points for the week and I'll be happy with that when he goes, 6 for 80. It's like, okay, that's fine. I'll take my 10, 11 for the week and I'll be happy with that. So
I feel like his spot's more safe too, because he's a pure slot guy. Like Polk's an outside guy, Baker's an outside guy, Osborne's usually an outside guy. Maybe he transitions to the slot a little bit. Bourne more of a slot guy, but like I feel like there's a little less competition at that slot role for Douglas, and he won that job pretty much all last year. And it's like the same coaching staff ish is kind of there. You still got Mayo there, so at least he's on the team. So I don't know how much that matters, and he's not calling plays or anything, but I don't know. I think it matters a little bit. Same kind of regime.
So we're wrapping up here. 19th, 20th rounds. Any way you like to end with roster construction? Like ideally, when we're looking at we've got 3, 5, 7, 3. We like a symmetrical balance typically in terms of quarterback, tight ends. The 2, 6, 8 build is always what I think about. In Best Ball Mania. What are you typically looking to end with in a contest like this? Again, we talked about the emphasis on running back. Are you thinking at least one running back, one wide receiver? Are you going 2 wide receivers to end up with a 3-5-9-3? Does that matter to you less in this kind of a format? Lay that out for me.
I've drafted a good amount of 3-7-7-3, to be honest. Like I said, I truly think it's like 50-50. Where it's like if you spend a little bit more capital on receiver earlier, maybe try and catch back up with some running backs. Where like, if you're still it's the same slots you're starting each week. It's not 3 slots receiver, 2 slots running back. It's 2 for each. So I've done a couple 3-7-7-3s. It's harder to do because I don't like a lot of the running backs. You're really taking dart throws. I think you can project the later round receivers a little bit more than you can these running backs. I think we should take 1 and then another receiver. I don't know how fun you're trying to get on this team, but definitely take a running back here. But one of the receivers I like to draft around 20, Jason Allwine from Player Profiler really put me on. Getting a lot of buzz out of OTAs too. I don't know if you ever drafted any Ryan Flournoy, but I think he could be one of those guys, man. Where like it's not like, dude, the opportunity is there for this guy. Like Jalen Tolbert was a healthy scratch his entire rookie year. He comes in, he takes some of the Gallup snaps because Gallup was awful, and he didn't do anything with them. Like Tolbert got on the field, didn't do anything with it. So like I think Flournoy can beat out Tolbert pretty easily, and Tolbert's their wide receiver 3 right now. Like their receiver core, it's CD, it's Brandon Cooks who's old, it's Tolbert, and it's freaking Kavontae Turpin. So like Flournoy is like one of the actually like legit receivers they have on this team. So he's a guy I've been drafting. Like just could be a guy like, even if he is like the wide receiver like 40, it's probably still a good guy considering like he's gonna be like probably less than 5% owned across all contests. So just kind of like a fun name to throw out there. And like he has a easy path to targets if he's good, and he's in a really good offense too. So it's just kind of 2 tiebreakers there. It's not like I'm doing this for like the freaking like pass. I'm not drafting Tyquan Thornton or something like that. So it's I like the Flournoy pick. I think it's a fun one to do if you want to live a little. And then the running back, there's a lot of guys I seem to draft. I like Shipley a little bit. I like Lauby. He's fun. Ali is fun. Garendo's obviously the high upside pick, but like how many? There are a lot of bodies he's got to beat out there. Sermon, I think, is getting some love. I was just going to say Sermon too. I'm down with Sermon.
Just to say I've drafted some Trey Sermon. I think I need to after all of the buzz this off season. I'm not like super thrilled. I don't think if something happens to JT, very clearly it's Trey Sermon, but like at this point we're kind of reaching. I would have considered a little bit of Audric Estime there, only because I think he could be the touchdown guy in this Denver offense if Javonte misses any time, or if they just get down to Ty talking about Jake Ferguson. Sorry, I got distracted. Ty has an obsession with Jake Ferguson right now. Yeah, I think Estime could come in and steal some touchdowns. I'll say this about Flournoy. I am desperately looking for guys I got to reach down the board for in the last round. The guys who just like get zero love whatsoever. The wide receiver 129 guys, because those are the guys that I think are just so much. They're so much better dart throws than an Odell Beckham, a Jalen McMillan, right? Where it's not going to make a difference. Live a little, have some fun. Like Tutu Atwell was one of those guys last year, right? Where it's like you're scrolling down to like 113 to go draft Tutu Atwell. Then he turns in like 6, wide receiver 2 weeks for you. And it's like those guys are
do that this year too.
Right. You could say that about Tutu. Right. Demarcus Robinson, I think, is going ahead of Tutu even. It's like, well, screw that. I might take some Tutu. So I'm all for a little bit of Ryan Flournoy there as well. Honestly, I'm feeling. Go ahead.
I was touching on the Indy running back situation. We got Sermon. I've been drafting a lot of Evan Hull, partly because I think he's good and he was everyone's favorite sleeper coming into last year. Partly because he grew up right down the road in Maple Grove.
I do love drafting some local guys. You're 100% right. As soon as I knew JT was missing part of the year, I had so much.
Yeah. He was like a guy like everyone was talking about because he had a ton of catches in college at Northwestern. Like he was a guy who like kind of like the sharp people, like a sleeper. It's like, oh yeah, go get some Evan Hull. Like he got some pretty good underlying metrics.
And then of course it ended up being Zach Moss, who now got himself a bag in Cincinnati.
Good for
I
Zach.
shouldn't say a bag, but good for Zach Moss. 100% good for Zach Moss. Sneaky like Zach Moss this year. How are you feeling about this team? Hindsight 2020. 3 quarterbacks: Burrow, Cousins, Carr, Pacheco, Kamara, Warren, B-Rob, kind of the core of the running backs: JJ, Olave, Higgins, Watson, Lockett. I sneaky love that wide receiver room. And then obviously we suffer a bit of tight end with Kmet, Fant, Gesicki, but a few player take guys in there. How are you feeling about this hindsight 2020?
The bye week bros are going to be furious that we have 3 week 12 quarterbacks on bye, but it's okay. I don't care. This contest, but the bye week bros are going to be furious with that one. But I like the team.
Really well.
Some good value at running back. Pacheco and Kamara kind of rounding out that crew. I love our quarterbacks. Just a bunch of guys where this just screams 20 points from each of these guys each week. Like they're just like a lot of passing volume you're going to see out of them. But yeah, I love the receivers too. I think we have a really good receiver core with JJ, Olave, Higgins, and then we got like Watson will kind of he'll hit the lineup when he hits 25 points when he catches 2 touchdowns for 140 on 3 catches. So yeah, 100% fine with that.
I am all for this team. I'm excited to get in a few more of these though. Like I said, I think now that I've got some spare time this week, at the tail end of this week, I'm going to be hitting this draft hard. So got Ron Stewart coming on next week. I'll see if he wants to do a little bit of Superflex as well. If the contest isn't filled by then, we'll see. See how quickly it continues to fill. But anything you want to add before signing off? If you're not subscribed to Tyler's channel already, make sure you go do that. Down in the description. If you're watching on Twitter, you can go over to his profile. He is tagged in the live stream you're watching there. Head over to his profile. His YouTube channel's up over there. You got you passed 600. So you got so what's coming up? Is that 24-hour? You talked about doing a little bit of a cooking live stream as well. Like what's next on the channel there?
So the 600 subs, I didn't think we're gonna hit 600 subs in freaking May, which we did. So so the 24-hour live stream is going to happen. It's not going to happen right away. I want to maximize that stream, so I'm going to push that toward real drafting season, July, maybe early August, somewhere in there. So that will happen. We're going to supplement that with a cooking stream, pretty much just a meal prep stream. I got to meal prep some ground beef and rice. So I'm going to do a BBM entry while I also cook some food. I still got to figure out the logistics in terms of the audio and the camera and that setup, how that's going to work, but we'll figure it out. Right. And then 1,000 subs, we have a goal. 750 subs, we have a goal. But yeah, I'm literally going to stream 15 minutes, 8:15 Central. So if you're watching right now, come hop on over, hang out with us. But yeah, hey, thanks for having me on. It's always a pleasure to chop it up with I think long lost friend is a good one, because before the stream we did a couple weeks ago, I hadn't seen you in 15 years or something like that. It's crazy.
That's been about what it's been. And we didn't even get into any of the memories. We had too many football things to talk about here, which We'll save the photos for another live stream for those of you
Mhm.
who got to witness that in all of its glory on Tyler's stream a few weeks ago. If I'm back on anytime soon, or for the 24-hour stream, whatever, we'll have to whip a few.
Yeah,
of
we'll
those
get
out.
you on for
We'll the
sure.
people too in that stream.
Yeah.
Well, no, man, I appreciate it. Yeah, head over to you're streaming on your channel. Head over to Tyler's channel, PPR Tyler, over on YouTube. Again, that link is down in the description of any of the live streams you are watching. Head over there. He will be going live in just under 10 minutes there. Go give him some love. Subscribe over there too. Help him get to 750. What is it at 750? Have you decided what that one is?
Yeah, so it's basically, long story short, there's this beach video. So it's gonna be I'll try and keep the story short, but so basically I had this YouTube channel. So the channel that I stream on right now, it used to be my college podcast channel, nothing to do with sports, just kind of like a messing around, whatever. We did a couple podcasts, had around maybe 100 subs, whatever. There was this day where, like, it was before finals. We were just interviewing people on the beach, just like kind of like a man on the street type things. There's like a whole bunch of college kids, whatever. It's kind of like just like a Nelk video, but like interview. It's something like that. It's some college type stuff, whatever. So that we posted that video. Got 67K views on YouTube, over 500 likes. We got like literally 300 subs from that video alone, just from that one. It's a 9-minute video. So when I started the fantasy football channel, I was like, I want to keep the subs. So I just scrubbed everything else, then just kind of started fresh, but like with I think I had like 390 subs when I first started doing the fantasy football stuff. Yep. So I've kind of talked about this on stream before, and then I said at 750 subs, I will redrop the beach video. It's a very cringe, I can't even watch it. I literally cannot watch it. I cringe so bad when I watch it. It's funny. Obviously people like it if it got that many views, but yeah. So we were gonna drop that again at 750 subs. I'm genuinely scared for what the reaction is gonna be, but we're gonna do it. That's our goal. So 750 subs. You want to see that video? Drop a sub on the channel.
That gives you every reason to go over and subscribe now. Everybody loves a good cringy video of a content creator. Maybe we should make that a goal at some point here if we hit a certain amount of viewers on a live stream. I got plenty of cringy photos I can pull up. At any rate, go subscribe to Tyler. Go check out his live stream happening in 10 minutes over here. Thanks for tuning in. If you're not subscribed here already, if you're new, make sure you do that. Check out the Fellas Draft Guide as well for 2024. And check out our content the rest of the week. We got YouTube video coming tomorrow. 7 players I will have 0% exposure to this year, and then another podcast episode on Friday with best ball values as well. So we will see you all soon. Go hop on Tyler's stream for the 3rd time, and we will see you all soon. Deuces.